Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cool Choices webinar on motivating change via fun. I'm Kathy Kuntz, and I'm excited to be with you here today. Cool Choices is a Wisconsin nonprofit that collaborates with businesses, local governments, and communities to accelerate sustainability initiatives. And as I said, I'm Kathy Kuntz, the Executive Director. I've been involved in energy efficiency and sustainability for a little over 2 decades. And for most of that time, I've been obsessed with how we motivate people to change, how we get them to adopt the practices we want, whether that's at home or at work. We get folks to do something different than they've done previously. And I'm excited to talk to you today about motivating people and the role fun plays in that. When we think about motivating change, very often we start with the assumption that this is an information problem, that if we tell people what we want them to do, the benefits of it, they'll just change and kind of maybe taken to an extreme. So for example, if I want people to drive less, I could put up billboards saying that driving causes greenhouse gas emissions. And people will see those billboards and realize that their cars cause emissions and leave them by the side of the road. In reality, that's probably not going to happen. And it speaks to that while information is necessary, it's very rarely sufficient to motivate change. And yet, we tend to think that information will solve our issues. So for example, we put nutritional labels on things and presume that people will see that broccoli is more nutritious than chocolate cake, and they'll adjust their eating habits accordingly. This is a particular problem for the kinds of folks who are on this call today. So you're attending a webinar about how to motivate change rather than watching cat videos during your lunch hour, because you have an affinity for information. You, like me, are a bit of an information fiend. And for us, it's a little bit inconceivable that everybody isn't looking out there for all kinds of interesting things that they can soak up. But regular people are not looking for more information that can sort of fill their already too full heads. For regular folks, remembering when the report is due, which kid needs to be picked up where from soccer tonight, and the plans for the weekend are really pretty sufficient. And very often when I'm thinking about what it takes to motivate people, I like to go back to this image. So here are some well-intentioned young men who know that exercise is good for them. So they're taking the escalator to the gym. And it speaks to how we do pretty irrational things sometimes without thinking very hard about them. And given this is our target audience, that I want to influence these guys in what they do every day, we need to approach that a little differently. We need a different recipe. And at Cool Choices, we've spent a lot of time looking at what motivates individual behavior and what works across public health and sustainability and other fields. And we think really the compelling recipe for change comes down to 3 things. First and foremost, the change needs to be easy. So if you want people to take public transit, it needs to be accessible to them. It needs to be convenient. If you want people to recycle more, recycling bins need to be adjacent to trash bins. Not sometimes adjacent, not across the room from, but adjacent to. Easy. Needs to be easy. The second piece is social, and we talk a lot in our webinars about the aspects of social, about the importance of social cues, of coaching. There are innumerable ways our peers influence what we do, and effective sustainability initiatives leverage those efforts. The final piece is fun. And by fun, I mean it's pleasant, it's interesting, it's engaging, it's entertaining. There's lots of ways to think about kind of fun. But fun's the piece I want to focus on today. And I feel like I should start here by admitting to you that the very first time, probably more than a decade ago, I was in a workshop where a social marketing expert laid out these three components and said fun, social, and easy, and started talking about the importance of fun. My reaction was despair. At the time, I was running residential energy efficiency programs in Wisconsin, and I remember saying, the things I want people to do, install compact fluorescents, insulate their attic, change the settings on their thermostat, are in no way, shape, or form fun. If things have to be fun to be done, we're a lost cause. And the facilitator said, you're not thinking creatively enough about fun. You can make all of those things fun. It just takes a little effort. And she was right. Let me start here with an example that kind of gets you to that point. So taking the stairs instead of the escalator does not seem like an inherently fun thing. But what if the stairs played notes like a piano? So that walking up and down them, you were making notes, music. Suddenly the equation is different. There's some fun involved here. And really that's the key. How do you create components that make things fun that might not have seemed fun before? So we'll sort of take some parts of that apart. And the first piece is surprise. So stairs that make music have an element of surprise. Similarly, let's look at this other piece. These are both examples that come from Volkswagen. For a while did a fun theory thing. I'll give you a reference to that in a bit, but ways to sort of accelerate fun. So that definitely gives you a sense of so by the trash bin surprising people with sound effects, suddenly little kids are scrambling around to find trash to throw away. And think about in both of those, I mean, part of what's magical about the element of surprise is it gives you this interesting thing to talk about. So these folks went home and told their families about the trash bin. They talked about it at work. It's nice to have a new amusing story to share with people. That's a variation of fun. This surprising thing happened to me. I saw this. Did you hear about this happening kind of thing? So there's all kinds of things sort of embodied in surprise. And maybe one of the most important ways to surprise people is to celebrate their accomplishments. So really thinking about how do you find opportunities to catch people doing the right things and celebrate the heck out of that. And make that really fun. So an example I think of here, we worked with a healthcare system in the Northeast where the facilities team had very specific goals for healthcare staff in different areas of the hospital in terms of shutting doors, turning off lights, etc. And the facilities team developed a traveling trophy. And it wasn't anything fancy. I think that the sustainability lead actually went to Goodwill and picked up a couple of trophies and made a magical sustainability trophy out of them. And on a monthly basis, they would award this trophy to a department that facilities had observed doing a good job of meeting these standards around reducing waste. And it was a very fun celebratory thing, who's going to get the trophy next kind of thing, and it's celebrating those accomplishments and reinforcing that across the place, and people got to display the very silly trophy in their department for the month. Similarly, you want to create ways that make it easy for people to showcase their own accomplishments. So when you create an environment where you're celebrating what people do, it becomes more natural for people to come forth with, hey, I did this other cool thing, clap for me. And there's a certain way that when you become the person who is sort of known for their cheerleading around these things, some of these things will bubble to the surface around you very naturally. Folks tell me certain kinds of stories about their lives because they know I'll get excited about them. The image here is actually from the stream in our own online platform where we'll have participants sharing things like this. So this participant shared his home energy report with his colleagues at work, kind of as a way to further show off all the cool things he's doing in his own life. Again, we want to create those opportunities for people to brag. And through all of that, note that what we're doing is we're focusing on the positive. Fun is powerful and it works for everyone when it includes everyone. So we've occasionally interacted with groups who say, well, you know, the way we motivate people is we call out the people who are doing the bad things and we shame them. And there's a way that when you're doing the shaming, there might be some gratification in that. That might seem fun. When you're being shamed, there is nothing fun about it whatsoever. And when you're creating a cohort of people who dread when something is going to happen next, you're not creating an environment where change is going to happen. So it's really important to focus on the positive, catch people doing the right things, and celebrate the heck out of that. Feels much better for everyone when you're celebrating the positive. And when you're doing that, one of the ways you can do that is to leverage photos. Today, everyone on your team has a high-quality camera in their bag or pocket. So encourage them to take photos of successes, to catch colleagues doing things and send you those digital assets, so that you can share them at a team meeting and call out different groups who are accomplishing things, or you can post them on the intranet at your company, or some other way to really leverage those assets across groups. People like seeing those photos, and again, when you capture the success and repurpose it again and again, you're reinforcing that, and you're lengthening the positive feelings associated with that, which can be quite powerful. The final strategy around fun I would offer is to make it a friendly competition, to come up with a way that engages folks here in this in a way that lets them really have some fun with it, competing with their colleagues. An example I can think of here from a workshop we did a couple of years ago, an organization was planning to eliminate sustainable styrofoam cups in their organization and have everyone use their own mug. And one of their strategies around competition was they launched it with an ugliest coffee cup competition. So encouraging people not only to bring in a cup, but bring in the ugliest, most esoteric cup you have, kind of thing. So making it a friendly kind of competition where folks are having that opportunity to engage with their colleagues while doing this can be really powerful. And really, that's at the core of what we do at Cool Choices. So we implement programs with businesses and local governments where employees form teams with their colleagues, and over the course of 6 to 8 weeks, they earn points for sustainable practices using an online platform where they can brag about what they're doing, where they can win prizes, they can trash talk the other teams. There's all kinds of kind of friendly competition going on there. But ultimately, we're making sustainability fun. We're making it fun, social, and easy to do the right thing there. And I'm glad to talk to folks more about how our program works offline if you'd like, but just to give you that kind of context of that. The final thing I want to talk about before I jump to questions is just to give you a few resources here. So I mentioned earlier Volkswagen's efforts. Those you'll find at thefuntheory.com. So a number of videos. For a while they were holding annual contests, getting folks to come up with fun ways to inspire change around particular things. And they are good food for thought about things you could do. Otherwise, while there's not a single behavior change resource that focuses specifically on fun, a number of the classics address the issue in one way or another, and so these are a few of my favorites that I'd suggest might be a good place to start with thinking about other resources as you think about this. And then I want to shift to questions. Our aim in these webinars is to really keep them short and leave time for folks to ask us questions. So in your GoToWebinar panel on the side, you should see a box where you can ask questions. If you've got just a narrow panel, if you hit that arrow at the top, it'll pop open and there'll be a spot there for you to put in questions. And I will give you a minute as I read. So the first question I've got is about kind of low-cost ways to do some of these things. So the piano stair example is a compelling example, but it seems out of the scope of budgets of an organization. What's another example of a way to make something like that fun? Again, I think about a group, we had a workshop, and one of their strategies to get people to use the stairs was to install a bell at the top of the staircase. So this was an enclosed staircase at the, along the side of the building kind of thing, and when people climbed the stairs, they could ring the bell, which was a kind of fun way, as you heard this faint bell ringing through the space, was a way to reinforce that people are using the stairs. Kind of a fun way to do that. Then there is also, okay, so a question about kind of in a manufacturing setting, getting people to separate trash and recycling more effectively. When I think about that and the element of fun, I immediately go to competition, that there might be some way to either have work teams or different divisions kind of challenge to who can do the best job on this over a particular time frame, and then some recognition, whether that's treats at break or preferred parking, a thing that, for example, in my experience in manufacturing, people care about where they park in the parking lot. Giving some preferred parking to teams that meet certain sustainability goals might be a powerful way to motivate folks. I am not seeing other questions now, so to be respectful of everyone's time, I think we'll close it there. Again, if you have other thoughts later, feel free to shoot me an email. We're glad to talk about this stuff, about what we do or how some of these insights can accelerate what you do. And thanks so much for joining us today, and have a great rest of your day.